Good day, students. Welcome to Mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over how to factor quadratic binomials. Don't forget, we have some practice problems at the end of this presentation for you to try out to demonstrate mastery of the contents of this tutorial. To gain access to additional resources, take a look at the playlists or the links in the description below, or you can visit our website at mathgotserved.com. Alright, so the instructions for the examples that we're going to be working on are as follows. We have to factor each expression and check your answers. Okay? Alright, so let's take a look at question number 1. Let's say we have the quadratic binomial 4x squared minus 24x. Alright, so to get us started, we're going to take a look at the steps that will guide our problem solving process. So the steps for factoring quadratic binomials are as follows. So what we're going to do first is we're going to break down the terms, okay? Break down terms into the prime factor decomposed state. Alright, so break down terms. And then after that, we're going to factor out the GCF. Factor out the GCF. And then lastly, we're going to put terms back together. Alright? Put terms back together. And that will be our final result. Alright, so let's take a look at the first one. We have two terms here, 4x squared, the quadratic term, and 24x, the linear term. So we're going to use factor tree method to break them down. So 4x squared. Now when we're decomposing our numbers, we are going to just use prime numbers for the numerical components, the coefficient. Okay? Remember what our prime numbers are. Numbers that are divisible just by themselves in 1. So prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Right? So numbers are only divisible by themselves in 1. Okay? So here are your prime numbers that we have right here. So we're going to, when we're breaking down 4, we can only use prime numbers. Alright? That's the easiest way to make sure that we can easily identify the greatest common factor. So 4, using your divisibility rules, we know that 4 is even, so 2 goes into that. 2 goes into 4 twice, and then times x. So the decomposed or broken down form of 4x squared is 2 times x. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do, let's do this. Let's put up a partition that can help us to identify the size of our equation. So we have that broken down, and then we're going to go ahead and break down 24 using the factor tree approach again. 24x. So 24 is even, so 2 goes into all even numbers. 2 goes into 24, 12. 12 is even, so 2 goes in there. 6. 6 is even, so 2 goes in there. 3. Alright, times x. So the broken down form of 24 is 2 times 2 times 2. Product of 3 2's times 3 and then times x. Alright, so we're done with step 1, breaking down the terms. So let's put up a partition here so that you can easily see the sides that we're going to be considering. Alright, so let's partition it right here. Okay, so now what we have is we have the left side and the right side. What we're going to be looking for, what's common on the left and the right side of the broken down terms. Alright, so let's see what we have. If you notice, there's a 2 on the left side, and there's another 2 here. We can factor out those two 2's as a 2. Alright, do we see another common factor? Yeah, there's another 2 here and a 2 here. Alright, we can factor out those two 2's as a 2. All right, no more 2's on the left side, so we don't bother with numbers. Oh, we have our variables on the left side. So we have an x on the left side and an x on the right side. So we can factor out that x. All right. Every term we factor out, think about it as a pair counting as just a term. Okay, so these two 2's factor out as just 2. All right, and these other 2's factor out as just 2. And then the x's, this pair of x's just count as 1. Now, when you factor out a number, what you're doing in essence is you're dividing by that number. Okay, so we factored out the first 2's as though we're dividing this side and this side by 2. Okay, reverse of distribution is factoring out. Remember, when you distribute, it goes to both sides. When you factor out, it goes from both sides as 1. Okay, and then these two 2's, both of them you factor it out from both sides as just 1, 2, and there's one is left. Okay, and then the x that's common, you factor out or divide out x from both sides like that. Bam. So what are you left with? You're left with, on the left side, x. Bring down the middle sign, minus 2 times 3. All right, you can multiply by the ones, but it doesn't change. So we're done with step 2. We factored out the GCF. Let's specify what the GCF is on the side here. The GCF is a number we factored out. 2 times 2 times x, which is 4x. Okay, bam. All right, so now we're going to put terms back together. 2 times 2 times x is 4x. And then x minus 2 times 3 is 6. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the factored state of question number 1. All right, so let's go ahead and check. How do you check? We do the reverse of factoring, which is expanding. So what we're going to do is take this term that we factored out, 4x, and we're going to distribute it right back into the quantity x minus 6. Okay, 4x goes to x, and then 4x goes to negative 6. When you multiply that out, using the product property of exponents, when you multiply 4x times x, you add the exponents. Okay, it's 4x to the, you add 1 plus 1, 4x squared. Okay, and then 4 times 6 is 24x. Does this match with the original problem that we have? Yes, it does. So that shows that our answer is in fact correct. All right, let's take a look at question number 2. All right, so question 2, what if we have the quadratic binomial 6b squared plus 18b? All right, so task is to factor and check. We're going to be using the same steps that we used for number 1 here. So first thing we're going to do is break down both terms using a factor tree algorithm. So start with the first term, 6b squared. 6 is even, so 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 times 3 times b. All right, so the broken down state of 6b squared is 2 times 3 times b times b. Okay, bring down the sign. And then 18b, let's break that down also. It's even, so 2 goes into that. 2 goes into 18 9 times. All right, and then 2 doesn't go here. Let's try 3. Yeah, 3 goes for sure. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 times b. So the broken down state of 18b is 2 times 3 times 3 times b. All right, so we're done with step 1. Now what we're going to do is advance to step number 2. Let's put our partition up. We're going to factor out the GCF. So what's common to both sides, we're going to factor that out. All right. Now if you notice, there's a 2 common to both sides, 2 and a 2. You can factor those two 2's out as a 2. Remember, pair counts as 1. What else we got? We have a 3 and a 3 on both sides. That's common. That's a common factor. Factor that out also. All right, all the 3's, so 2 and 3. What else? We have a b on the left side and also a b on the right side. Bam, bam. So we can factor that out times b. So remember, when you factor out terms from when you factor out factors from terms of an expression, is as though you're dividing every single term by that term that you factored out from each term. Okay? So when it's factored out this 2, is as though we're dividing both sides, both terms by 2, so that's left with 1. When we factored out 3, is as though we're dividing both sides by 3, so left with 1. And then when we factor out b, is as though we're dividing b by both terms. All right? So think about it as the reverse of distribution. We're factoring out, and it affects every term that you factor another term from. Okay, so what are we left with? 1 times 1 times 1 times b is just b, plus 1 times 1 times 3 times 1 is just 3. Bam. We can see here that the GCF is a term that we factored out, which is 2 times 3 times b. The GCF in this case is 6b. Okay? Now, step number 3, put terms back together. 2 times 3 times b is 6b times b plus 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our final answer. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and check our work by doing the reverse of factorization, which is to expand. So we have 6b times b plus 3, and then we just distribute, okay? So we're going to take 6b and multiply it across both terms. This term right here and this term right here. Okay, don't forget the power is 1. All right, what is 6b times b? Using the product property of exponents, you just add the power. So that's going to be 6b squared. And then 6b times 3, just multiply the numbers, 18b. And your final answer is 6b squared plus 18b. Does that match up with the original question? It certainly does. So our answer is in fact correct. Okay. All right. So here are 4 practice problems we'd like you to try out. Instructions are for you to factor each term completely. So go ahead and pause this video presentation at this time. Try the problems. When you're done, click on the playback button and we'll reveal what the answers are. Alrighty, welcome back. So hopefully you had a chance to try out the problems. For question number 1, the answer is 4x times x minus 4. For number 2 is 6x times x plus 6. For number 3, it's 2x times 2x plus 5. And then for number 4 is 8x times 2x minus 3. So how well did you do in these practice problems? Let us know in the comment section below. If you have any questions, specify it so we can help you out. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation, and also a special thanks to all those who have been supporting our channel with your likes and your subscriptions. Tons of support resources can be found at mathgotserved.com. Do check it out. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.